Thanks for tuning in to the Ohio AgNet podcast. I'm Matt Reese. I'm the editor for Ohio's Country Journal, joined by the wonderful Dusty Sonnenberg. He's up in Henry County with Ohio Field Leader. And today we have the great fortune in June Dairy Month to talk with Scott Higgins. He's the president and CEO of the American Dairy Association Mideast. Thanks, Scott, for being with us.
Oh, it's nice to be on the program with you. Thank you.
So first off, Scott, it is Dairy Month, and I had a couple burning questions for you. Number one, and I want to ask Dusty the same thing. What is your favorite breed of dairy cow? I like jerseys. You got the eyes, you got the butter fat, you got that. I love jerseys. What about you? And this is a lot of pressure, I understand, in your position. What do you think, Scott?
You know, I have many favorites. I can't say that.
That is
in all fairness,
that's a lame answer.
I grew up with Holsteins. That's all I knew. My children had a chance to show jerseys. We fell in love with the Jersey breed.
Okay.
So between the two, that's a toss-up. But when it comes to all other breeds, I show no favoritism anymore because I work for dairy farmers. I work for all of them, and I love all dairy breeds.
Okay, excellent. What about you, Dusty? What's your favorite dairy breed?
Well, first of all, I think I need to call Scott out on child abuse because anybody that's been around jerseys know they are the most stubborn animal known to man. Those little, being small means nothing to them. They would take on a bison if they could.
Jerseys those eyes, though, they have those eyes, Dusty.
They do, but I don't know. If you've worked with them, there's something different about jerseys. Like Scott, I do have to say I am partial to Holsteins too. If you see over over the shoulder there, the two. So I grew up on a dairy farm and we had Holsteins. So I guess I lived in a black and white world, although I do think red and white Holsteins are pretty cool. So we never had any, but I always thought those were neat to look at.
Well, so now that you politically answered the breed question, Scott, I want to know what your favorite way to enjoy dairy products is. What do you use? Ice cream? Is it chocolate milk? What do you think?
All right. So every day I drink 3 glasses of milk. I mean, and that's not because of any other reason than I just love milk. And I never go a day without a few glasses of that. And of course, the other thing that I have a tremendous favoritism toward, and that's cheese. I just love cheese. Ice cream is more of a treat to me. I don't really think about it every day. However, when spring comes, I crave pineapple milkshakes.
Pineapple milkshake. That's really interesting. That is not on my radar. Pineapple milkshake. What about you, Dusty?
I'd probably go back and forth between. I like strawberry milkshakes. If I've got to have a milkshake, strawberry is very good, but it is hard to beat a mint chocolate chip bowl of ice cream. I could have 3 of those a day every day. I could have it with Scott's glass of milk every day. So, and I wouldn't get tired of it.
I'm pretty shocked by both those answers, actually. I'm a chocolate milkshake guy. Chocolate milkshake. Those are my 2 favorites. I love those. Mint chocolate chip. I never pegged you for a mint guy, Dusty. That's really
there's nothing better. That's heavenly.
And I also feel like we'd be remiss in a podcast about Ohio agriculture to not talk about the concerns about the dry weather around the state. What are you guys seeing up there, Dusty? It is extremely dry down here in Fairfield County. I actually attended the Brandt calling hours for Dave Brandt this weekend, and a lot of the conversation was around how dry things are out there, and people are concerned. What are you seeing in Northwest Ohio?
We're starting to see brown lawns. It is dry up here. We have been a good 14, I think maybe today is day 15 without measurable rainfall that we've got. There's a chance maybe on Sunday that we could get some up here, but if not that, it could be till the middle of the next week or later, it sounds like. So we are definitely in a dry stretch. You don't notice it really yet in the crops. I'm concerned about the wheat crop as, it's all headed now and we're trying to fill those heads. What's the moisture availability? Obviously, it's good from a disease standpoint. It's so dry and the conditions have been not very humid. So that's helped with the disease standpoint. But I am getting concerned. I'm glad the temperature's dropping, those 90+ degree temperatures and no moisture. That's high evaporation rates. That's stressful on both crops and livestock. But I am a little bit concerned. Not terrible yet, but boy, if we don't get something in the next week or so, it could get a little dicey.
Mm-hmm. What are you hearing from dairy farmers, Scott?
Well, it depends on which part of the state you're talking about. So as we all know, not every corner of the state, it functions the same way as far as the weather. But what I've been noticing is the same thing. Brown yards. I've got one, but the soybeans and the corn that were planted last week around my area are starting to pop up and take off. So that's encouraging. So hopefully the moisture in the soil is enough to be able to keep those coming along. So, but it's like everything. We've seen weather come and go, but there's always a season. Good Lord will provide.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and hopefully he provides some rain here in the near future. We sure like to see that. So, Dusty, we got some audio coming up from Grow Next Gen. You want to tell us about that?
We sure do. Joel Penorawood was out about a week ago at Graham Middle School. That's over in St. Paris, Ohio. And he visited with Nick Quidera, and he's the principal there, talking about the Real Money, Real World program that the Grow Next Gen program has. Program put together dealing with youth financial literacy. So some good things going on. Again, that Grow Next Gen, a product of the Ohio Soybean Council and Soybean Farmers Checkoff Dollars.
I also talked with W.J. Fannin. He's down in Fayette County, and it was the Ohio Cattlemen's Association Commercial Producer of the Year. Really great guy, doing some interesting things on their operation down there that's feeding out cattle and producing some row crops. And just a nice interview with him, sort of hitting the high points of what they're doing and some of the interesting things going on in the cattle business. So that audio will be coming up next in the podcast, which will be available in the digital email or up at ocj.com. So be sure to check out the entirety of this podcast. We'll be also talking with Scott, all things dairy, and we'll get beyond milkshakes and favorite dairy breeds and really dig into some of the things going on in the industry, both some pros and some cons going on right now, but plenty to talk about with the dairy industry. So be sure to check that out in the entirety of the Ohio AgNet podcast. Thanks all for tuning in today.